Hey, welcome to the off ramp. Oh yeah, I got my new digs here. I got everything new. Hope you guys like it. I've been on a little bit of vacation, I guess you could say. I took some time off from just doing the video work, but I have been doing some work writing wise. You can go to offramppolitics.com. I've got a three piece. I got a three. I got I have a piece on love, and I have three parts to it. So I have a three-part piece on love. I thought I needed to do it because I think a lot of people are get a little confused when I speak about forgiveness, especially to political groups, political parties, politicians who are just downright just disgusting people. and when I speak of giving them forgiveness, it's not out of feeling sorry for them. It's not out of trying to be a better person. It's not about that. It's about providing love. And if you want to know what that's about, go ahead and read the three-part series I have because love is not weak. It's very strong because love believes in truth, but love also gives space for people to do right and will call them out when they aren't. So with that said, disclosure day. This is a spoiler alert, guys. Spoiler alert. I took my kids out tonight to watch the new movie Disclosure Day by Steven Spielberg. It's a really good movie. If you want to see it and you don't want to hear too many details, then you might want to fast forward the section. But because I'm not going to give the plot away. I'm not going to tell you a lot of the specifics, but I'll give you sort of my interpretation of what I thought the movie was about. I thought it was a very impressive movie for all the right reasons. And I was glad that my kids kind of caught on to it too. They sort of got the gist of what I think Steven Spielberg was trying to get across. So once again, spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear too much, then you might want to fast forward the section. Before I start talking about it, let's look at it. Let's go ahead. I'll share with you the latest trailer for it, so you can take a look and just see what this is all about.
I can see you.
I am much more inclined now than I was when I made Close Encounters to really believe that we're not the only intelligent civilization in the universe.
What did you steal?
Secrets. People have a right to know the truth.
This is a story about us, all of us,
Good morning, Kansas City.
up against the most extraordinary event in human history.
What's happening to me? I'm frightened. I'm frightened out of my wits.
You don't need to be. You have someone else.
Daniel Keller,
Who is this?
do not go back to the house. They found you. I don't know who you are, but they're gonna kill you.
The human race cannot accept what we know. We need to stop it any way we can.
What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing?
This 79-year cover-up of the truth has to end.
We're interrupting our coverage.
How will disclosure change us? I believe for the better. It will remind us of our capacity for empathy and that there is something bigger out there than just ourselves.
The only way to know your purpose is to go back to where it all began.
I know you.
I know you do. What happened to us?
I used to say to myself, wouldn't it be wonderful if all of this turned out to be true? I'm now thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful for people to know
They're coming.
all of this is true?
Disclosure Day.
All right. That's a pretty good trailer, I gotta say. So hey, I forgot to introduce myself. So this is the Off Ramp Politics. This is the Off Ramp. I am your host, Thomas Jason Anderson. So yeah, I took my kids to go see that movie tonight. At one of the IMAX theaters, by the way. It was really impressive. Just a great Steven Spielberg movie. It's funny, right? Spoiler alert, because you may not want to hear this if you want to see the movie. So he says in that clip in the trailer that all of this is true. Well, that's a hint, because even though it seems like this movie is about aliens, it's not about aliens at all. Aliens are in it just a little bit. It seems like in the trailer, it's like all aliens. It's like spaceships, and it's people getting experimented on, and crazy experiments and all this. No. It really, the movie is not about aliens. Okay. And that's why when Steven Spielberg says maybe all of this is true, well, I think he made a real political statement with this movie. This movie is about politics. It's not about aliens. All right. And let me tell you what he focused in on. All right. He really focused in on the deep state. He really did. This movie is about the surveillance state, the deep state, how the government uses private contractors to ruin the lives of everyday people, to chase them down, to use witchcraft, to do all types of evil things, underhanded things. And what's crazy is he shows in the movie how these private contractors working for the CIA and the FBI and the NSA, how they have access to all of the government assets. They have access to the FBI. They have access to the military. When something starts to go a little bit sideways in this movie, what happens? The private contract, the heads of like every branch of the military go to this one private company's headquarters to say, hey, we need to get a handle on this. And if need be, we've got 75 FBI agents we're ready to send out right now. And we've got CIA guys, we've got this and that. It's a movie that really exposes just how governments in this world work right now. So when Steven Spielberg says in the trailer, maybe this is all true, well, he's giving a hint. He's saying, hey, he utterly exposed how governments today around the world, not just the American government, every modern government, they're using the surveillance state through private corporations to get on top of private individuals to stamp out the truth, to stomp out the truth. And what the movie shows is this aggressive nature of these private contractors being pushed with these government mandates to basically win at all costs. They're going out there and they're ruining people's lives. They're creating situations where you can see in the movie where the main characters, they can't have a love life because they're getting in on their spouses. They're getting in on their family members. They're monitoring all of their phone calls. They're following everywhere they're going. They're using witchcraft against these people. I mean, it's just on and on and on. And so it's really a movie about how in the modern world today, if you're someone with a real skill or a real talent that the government feels can endanger their power, Well, Steven Spielberg reveals they send the dogs out on you, and this is how they do it. And that's what this movie is disclosing. That's why it's disclosed. That's why it's called Disclosure Day. He is disclosing in this movie just how governments around this world go after the most talented individuals everywhere on the planet to stomp them out, to take them out, to ensure that there are no unique individuals out here with special talents, bringing them forth to benefit the world. Because, oh, God forbid that happens, you start tearing down the entire system. It's a movie that shows that that our governments want all of us in a position where we're just mindless drones, where we are just silly-minded people. We're really not trying to better our community. We're not trying to better our society. We're not trying to better the world. We're just out for our own little creature comforts. Okay, that's what every government wants. They want all of us to be out for our own little creature comforts. One of the characters, the boyfriend of one of the main characters, all he kept talking about was how, oh, so the main character, she's like constantly feeling like she has to move. They moved from California to Dallas, and from Dallas to Kansas City, and she's in Kansas City. She's like, I need to move again. And she's a TV broadcaster, and her boyfriend's like, you want to move again? He's like some type of musician, some type of like country music guy or something like that. And even though you could see that she felt out of place, she felt like, hey, I've got talents, I've got skills. She was doing everything she could to advance in her career and to do serious work that could, add to her community, add to the world. She was a weather woman, okay? And she was trying to build her way up into becoming an anchor for a big Kansas City news station. And she was doing everything in her power to do that. And while she was doing that, her boyfriend, who's a musician, all he could talk about is how comfortable he was because now he gets to have Wednesdays and Saturdays off. And he gets extra tips when he does this or that. And he was like, I don't want to leave. It's such a good spot to get Wednesdays and Saturdays off. In the meantime, she's busting her butt every minute of the day trying to move up the ladder to become a news anchor, to do everything she can to become a serious news person. And instead, she's being treated, because she's a pretty woman, she's being treated as a ditzy weather chick who's supposed to be dancing every time she, talks about how there's going to be hail or something like that. And so the movie shows this contrast between different characters, how the characters who are trying to constantly better themselves, they're constantly thinking of the big picture. They have, they more empathize with the people around them. They're more loving people. That those are the people that the government goes after and breaks down and tries to destroy, chases them down, does everything in their power, when at all costs, to just drag these people out and just snuff their light out. Whereas anybody who's just happy to get their Wednesday and Saturday off, those are the ones who are treated great, nothing to see here. And they're the ones who the private contractors use to get at the main characters who are trying to actually do something with their lives. And so that's why this movie is so interesting. It's not about aliens. It's really about how we live in a society now that is a surveillance state society, and all of our governments are using technology to single out and go after anybody who is in a position where they can influence the public in a way to be more empathizing, to be more loving, to be more caring, to have more thoughtful interactions with their fellow citizens. If you're that person and you have a public face, you're on the news, you have a platform, and you're out there pushing a positive tone, and you're trying to create a situation where people can reconcile differences, the government's coming for you, and they're going to do everything they can to take you out, even if that means, in one case in the movie, the private contractors were using the equivalent of like a type of voodoo to get into the mind of the girlfriend of one of the characters and basically convinced her, kill him. If you can't stop him from going to the place where he's trying to go to get done what he's trying to do, then grab that kitchen knife and kill him. Okay. And so that's what Steven Spielberg was revealing in this movie. It really wasn't about aliens. It's all about the deep state. It's all about the surveillance state. And it's all about governments around the world using the surveillance state to ensure that we all become mindless drones, and all we care about is what day off we have and what creature comforts we can get. Another example I'll give you is when one of the big things that all the characters have to do, I've never seen more cell phones destroyed in a movie ever. Okay. It's like every other scene, if a cell phone's being used, it's being destroyed right away. Every single time. This is a surveillance state narrative. Okay. And so one of the main characters is told, look, you got to literally destroy your phone. You're being tracked on your phone. They're going to track you down. They're going to kill you. Destroy your phone. And so she throws the phone out of the window and she tells her boyfriend who's driving, run the phone over. And he's like arguing with her. He's like, oh my God, that's an $800 iPhone. Are you serious? What's wrong with you? In the meantime, she's sitting here. She's like, my life is on the line. Could you please run the phone over? And he's like, oh, it's a brand new iPhone. And he goes to run it over and he misses it. She's like, put it in reverse. He misses it again. So she has to get out of the car in a hailstorm, grab the phone, literally place it in front of the front tire of the vehicle for him to be able to run over it to crush it. And after that happens, she even then starts stomping on it with her feet and kicks it off to make sure that it's destroyed. And so that's just another example of how this was about the surveillance state, but it was also about this tension between characters who were on a mission. You had characters who were on a mission and they had to get their job done, and their spouses or their significant others totally airheaded, totally clueless, just very irritating characters, just worried about how much an iPhone costs. While this person here is like, they're going to die if you don't destroy that phone. Who gives a damn how much the damn phone costs? Okay, like, so those are the kind of things that are happening in the movie. So that's why this is not a movie about aliens. This movie is about the surveillance state. It's called Disclosure Day because it's Steven Spielberg pulling back the curtain on what the surveillance state is all about. And he gets nitty, he gets down into the weeds on this. He gets into the weeds on this. He shows how the government they use people's family members to betray them. If you're an independent-minded person, they're going to get your family after you. It's always going to be the person closest to you. And then the other thing he shows is these government contractor guys, they are literally lawless because they have no supervision. And they're basically told, do whatever it takes, win at all costs, do whatever you have to do to win. And so these characters, these private contractor guys, I mean, let me tell you something, man, these guys are insane. But in this movie, they were literally putting their lives on the line every other minute to try to stop people from just doing a good thing. Through the whole movie, you had to ask yourself why are these guys trying so hard to stop these people? They're talented people, but they're not actually trying to hurt anyone. Like, why are they so desperate? And they went to every extreme you could ever imagine. They did everything in their power. Everything in their power. I mean, it was relentless. And so Steven Spielberg, man, I think he did a great job. I think it's definitely I think it's a movie worth watching. I think part 2, there's going to be a part 2. That may be about aliens, part 2. It's probably going to be about aliens. I can tell it's going to be about aliens, but this part one disclosure day is definitely not about aliens. Okay, it's about the surveillance state. It's about the deep state. It's about government overreach. It's about, you know, people's privacy, just people just having no privacy at all. It's about, you know, how, you know, we have this society now where you have a lot of go-getters, people who are very empathetic, people who are trying to do the right thing, people who are trying to make the world a better place, and the people closest to them are just airheaded buffoons who the government and these private contractors use the most to get at them, to destroy them, even to the point of getting to kill them. So yeah, that's dang, it was a really good disclosure, that movie. I mean, I thought I got to give that movie 5 stars. Great job, Steven Spielberg. So with that said, let's disclose some more stuff here. Trump, I think it's the 39th time he's announced that he's gotten a deal done with the Iranians to end the war in Iran. And so I think Erin Burnett, I think at CNN, she might have had a few things to say here. Let me see.
Claims there's a deal. Iran says not so fast. President Trump, in the span of about 7 hours, careening today from threatening Iran with a land invasion to saying it's all resolved.
We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents. We should get done over the next few days. Probably have a signing maybe in Europe, and it's a great thing. I won't be able to be there, but JD will be there, Vice President, and some of the people. Steve Witkoff did a great job. Jared.
Wanted to play that out so you could hear all 3 names, Vance, Witkoff, and Jared. Remember back in April, Trump claimed that very same trio, Vance, Witkoff, and Kushner, were on their way back to Islamabad for peace talks. He told the New York Post, in fact, this is the quote, "They're heading over now. They'll be there tonight." They were not on their way that night, and they have not been there since. But this is the 39th time, at least, that Trump has said a deal is close.
They're begging to make a deal.
I think they want to make a deal very badly.
Iran is dying to make a deal.
They want to make a deal so badly.
We're close to a very good deal.
We're in the final throes of what will be a very, very good deal.
So how solid is this alleged deal? Well, here's Trump again today.
You said this was just a concept of that agreement. So is this just essentially setting the stage for deeper talks on nuclear?
It's a very strong memorandum of understanding.
So in translation, basically something like a deal to talk about a possible deal. So that's one part of this. Then there's the big question of who is the deal with?
Has the Supreme Leader approved this deal, sir?
I understand the answer is yes.
Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson tonight, though, said that reports of a finalized agreement were merely speculation, saying Tehran has not made a final decision on a deal. And then the Iranians added, quote, U.S. actions are affecting the diplomatic process. The Americans kept changing their positions. Now, you can never trust what you're hearing out of Tehran, but there is a problem here. I mean, if you look at Trump's wild swings today alone, this morning he posted on social media, and I quote, "The United States will be hitting Iran, all caps, very hard tonight." He said that this morning. He said then that we will be taking Kharg Island. Okay, so that's all was said today. And then right, there was a deal and it's all over. He took.
All right. So yeah, as you can see, you know, Trump and this administration, they're all over the place on this Iran thing. Pretty much Trump is folded. He's folded like a cheap lawn chair. He's doing whatever it takes to make sure that he's got a deal here. He really doesn't care what the deal is. He just wants a deal on the table because he's done. And the reason why he's done is for 2 reasons. First of all, the Epstein disclosures. It's not a coincidence that the New York Times has this new book coming out on the Epstein stuff. At the same time, you've got another huge push on Jeffrey Epstein news all of a sudden, right at this time. And so that's sort of a form of blackmail, I think, on Trump, sort of just saying, if you do some violent stuff, if you take Carg Island, then maybe some secrets come out about you and Jeffrey Epstein. So he's got that. And then the second thing he has is it's an economic issue. All right. We're heading into an election in November, and Trump just doesn't want to go into the last 2 years of his presidency with a horrible political defeat in November. He just can't afford it. And so because of that, he doing something physical, kinetic with Iran, taking Carg Island. Oh, you want to talk about, creating a situation where we could have some serious economic damage. Having a stock market crash or having some serious economic pain right now heading into November could be a nightmare. And so why is the economic pressure there? Why is the Jeffrey Epstein pressure there? Well, the reason why is because of China. Everyone keeps talking about it's Iran and it's Trump and it's Iran, it's Trump and it's Iran. It's really Trump against China, because China is using Iran as its puppet to take over the Middle East. It's just that simple. It's twofold. Okay. So first of all, China gets most of their oil from Iran, and they get it very cheap. So of course they want to prop up this crazy dictatorship that wants nuclear weapons. But the second benefit they get is they get to use these guys to influence the Middle East, to allow them to get more cheap oil and more control in the Middle East. So this is really a Trump-China thing. And here, I'll let you see a few videos on this. Take a look at this so you guys can get a good idea of why China is such a serious player here. All right.
A small but the beating heart of Iran's oil exports. Karg Island handles nearly 99% of Iran's crude shipments, making it Tehran's most critical energy lifeline. When the island came under attack amid escalating Iran-Israel-US tensions, alarm bells rang across the global energy markets. And thousands of kilometers away in China, Beijing is the largest buyer of Iranian oil, with Chinese refineries heavily dependent on discounted crude flowing from Iran. Tankers carrying that oil travel from Iran through the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical maritime choke points. Nearly 1/5 of the world's oil supply passes through this narrow waterway every single day. Any disruption here or at Karg Island could choke Iran's exports overnight. That means tighter global supply, rising oil prices, and fresh pressure on energy-hungry economies like China. A tiny island in the Gulf, but one whose fate could ripple through global oil markets and straight into Beijing's energy security calculations. NDTV Bureau Report.
Yeah, so there you go. Okay. This is serious. Okay, it's really serious. This Iranian issue when it comes to China. And so this is all about China, and China's putting the pressure on, man. China's letting everybody know, if Trump does something kinetic, if he takes Karg Island, if he hurts our ability to not only get cheap oil from Iran, but our ability to extend our power into all of the Middle East, then we're going to crash the economy in the United States. We're going to crash it. And on top of that, we're going to pull every string possible that we have in Hollywood and the media in the United States, every spy they have in the government, and they're going to release some Epstein stuff. They're making it clear. And so Trump facing that two-pronged attack from China, Epstein on one hand, economic collapse on the other, Trump's folded. He's folded. So he's now his 39th time saying he's cut a deal. He doesn't give a damn what that deal says. He just wants a deal. He wants out of this. He's tired of having the Epstein stuff over his head. He doesn't want to hear anything about any economic problems at all. He just wants to get into November, get this election done, get the Republicans to be able to weather the storm so that he can do his last 2 years of whatever he's going to do. He's dead set focused on that. He doesn't care anymore about Israel or any of this stuff. Right. And so you can see a lot of his supporters, the Bibi Netanyahu wing of the Republican Party, of the Trump, of MAGA, they're all out here like wondering what's going on. They don't even know what to say. And they're not realizing Trump dumped them. He's done with them. He has moved on. It's too much damage to him for him to be sitting here messing with these Iranians. He's done. He's folded. Cheap lawn chair, done. Period. That's what's going on there. I don't know why people aren't understanding this. All right. Trump, he's waving the white flag. He's finished. He's saying he's got a deal, but he doesn't even know if the supreme leaders agreed to it. He doesn't give a damn. It's a deal. That's all he needs to know. It's a deal. And so, yes, they're going to have nuclear weapons now. Why? Because China wants them to have nuclear weapons. If they have nuclear weapons, then that gives China the ability to take over the entire Middle East. Think about it. Right? I mean, come on now. This is China trying to become, the number one nation in the world by far. And the way they do it is they partner with regimes like the North Koreans, the Iranians. And as they get more and more influence over nations, whether it's here in the Western Hemisphere with Guyana, they partner with the corrupt elements within governments, the violent elements, the elements that will use corruption and violence to get at American interests, especially. Right. And so that's their game plan. And they are effectively pushing that thing. And so Iran is their latest puppet. And they're going to push this thing as far as it can go. And, too bad for Israel because they're about to get nuked. And that's just the reality, guys. They're going to get nuked. Trump did all he could do. But China came at him with this Epstein stuff. They came at him with this economic collapse stuff. And he's like, to hell with Israel. They get nuked. They get nuked. I don't care anymore. I'm walking. I have an election to worry about in November. That's where we're at. All right. And so like I said in the piece here, the Trump's MAGA America is a nation built on lies and is buried in hate. Let's look at the Epstein stuff. That's interesting. Here, look at this, just to give you an idea of what's going on with this Epstein stuff. So you can see how much pressure is being put on Trump. All right.
Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. It was during that Situation Room meeting that a Wall Street Journal report was published. You remember it. It detailed a close relationship between the president and Epstein. Let's bring in CBS News chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes. Nancy, has the White House responded to this article yet?
They have just responded, Adriana. They put out a statement saying essentially that President Trump has been totally exonerated when it comes to anything having to do with Jeffrey Epstein, and that his administration has released thousands of pages of documents and therefore has done more to address this issue than any other previous administration. But what this article really does is shine a spotlight on the tremendous concern that top White House and DOJ officials had as this story started to gain momentum, and they tried to figure out how to tamp it down. There were various factions either arguing to release as much as possible, to try to get grand jury materials released, kind of to show the public that that they were being as open as possible. And then there were others who were arguing that they sort of needed to hunker down and that this would all blow over. A couple of things that were the most fascinating, Adriana. Number one was the fact that there were some within the White House who were suggesting that they offer some sort of favor or enticement for Ghislaine Maxwell, who was in federal prison in Florida, in exchange for her doing an interview with a top DOJ official. And the idea of even offering her a pardon was floated. That was shot down.
Okay, so as you can see, okay, the Trump administration, these guys are having freakouts in the White House, as reported by the New York Times, which is backed a lot by the Chinese. And if you look at some of the Epstein files, ooh, the New York Times is in there a lot. So yeah, you know, the pressure is on. And this pressure is coming right when this Iran deal is supposed to be happening, right when Trump's threatening to bomb Iran. It's not a coincidence, right? And then look at the economic side. The economic side is even rougher. Look what's happening with credit card debt and Americans in debt. All right, like this is out of control. Take a look at this. Actually, you know what? Inflation. Let's take a look at that first. Okay. Well, actually, no, let's look at the debt. Let's just look at the debt. Okay.
Moving on, let's talk about America's debt. The credit card balances of American households have surged 63% in just 5 years. Total outstanding debt now stands at $1.252 trillion. That's up from $770 billion at the pandemic low of 2021. This is not a blip. It's a structural collapse of household financial resilience. Credit card balances hit a fresh record in the December quarter last year, rising to $1.28 trillion. That is the highest since the New York Fed began tracking this data in 1999.
Okay, so as you can see, so we're here with record debt on American families. Okay, credit card debt's through the roof. It's up, I don't know, 40 something percent. December was like a record. So the credit card debt's through the roof. Economy's not looking good. Let's look at inflation. Take a look at the inflation issue. Give me a sec here. It's pulling up the video. Here we go.
Consumer prices have gone up during the Iran war. We have NBC News chief business correspondent Christine Romans here to break it all down for us. This breaking news. She's got the numbers. She's going to tell us about them. Christine, good morning. So just let's start on how much did prices rise in May? And also, like, are our paychecks keeping up with the way that we're seeing prices rise?
Prices rising dramatically in May, and no, wages are not keeping up. You said that 4.2%. That's really important here. It's hotter than April, and it's also the most in about 3 years. Just for context, Savannah, before the war with Iran began, that number was 2.4. So that is a big difference. And when you look over at wages versus inflation, this is really important too. Let me just draw the line up here past 4%. This is what it looks like here. This top line is inflation. This green line, wages. This is not great when you see this line cross here. That means your paycheck is not going as far as your bills.
All right. So we've got inflation problems hitting, and as you saw the stat, inflation almost doubled. It went from 2.4 to 4.2% since the Iran war started. Okay, so inflation is through the roof. Credit card debt is through the roof, right? So the warning signs on Trump doing anything kinetic in Iran, anything taking Karg Island, doing more attacks on the Iranian infrastructure, messing with that oil. If he thinks the economy is bad now, oh my God, it's going to get, and he knows this. So he can't touch the Iranians, and if he wants to have a bloody nose economically going into the November election. So you see how this works? The pressure is on him, and he's decided he'd rather win an election. Okay? This Iranian thing is not that important to him. They can do whatever the hell they want to do. That's why he keeps announcing he's got a deal, he's got a deal. And so what's happened is that the Chinese have told the Iranians, look, man, keep stringing this guy along. We've got him. He's our puppet. He's going to keep, he's never going to take Karg Island. He's never really going to attack you because we all know now that he's too scared. He would be giving up too much politically. He's not going to do it. So make him look like a fool. That's what's happening now. The Iranians are making him look like a fool. And he thinks that he's going to get a deal. He's not going to get a deal. All right. They're going to embarrass him through this whole process. And then after that, they're going to release that Jeffrey Epstein stuff on him. And then after that, they're going to collapse the economy over here anyway. They're going to do it all. And so once November hits, it's going to be a disaster for Trump. A freaking disaster. And he's walking right into it because he can't see past his own nose. He doesn't understand what's going on here. Clearly, he doesn't understand that he's being blackmailed by people who are making him out to be a clown. They're laughing at him. He's a joke. So he keeps saying, I got a deal. And they keep saying, oh, we don't know if we really got a deal. It's embarrassing. But that's how scared he is. So yeah, Trump's America built on lies. These are the lies. All right? That he's strong, that he's a deal maker, that he has nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein whatsoever, that he's going to kick the crap out of the Iranians. Yeah, they're going to listen to him. Lies, 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 lies. It's all lies. It's all lies meant to placate the public just long enough so he can get some good results in November. It's shameful. But this is where we are. And this is Trump's true nature, man. This is he's a liar. What can you say? So Trump's America is built on lies, but it's also buried in hate. And so while he's lying, okay, and trying to kick the can down the road, his minions, the other people, especially the social media influencers, they're out there creating all kinds of hate. And what's interesting is they think that if you aren't physically harming someone, then it's not violence. But let me tell you, man, words are very violent. Very violent. Words many times can hurt more than physical violence. And a lot of times words lead to physical violence. Okay. And so the words that are being used on social media now by the different influencers within the Republican Party on the right, mainly led by Elon Musk and the X platform, is they really are going in on the race issue. They really are showing their true colors, right? This sort of white supremacy stance. And what they're trying to do is foment anger between blacks and whites, Asians and blacks, Hispanics and whites. They're creating this entire race issue over on that platform, on that X platform, and it's spilling over into other platforms and other social media crevices and stuff. But what's happened is, people think, well, social media is just words. Well, it's starting to become physically violent. Take a look.
A family reunion in Leesburg, Georgia turned into a terrifying scene after relatives say a man allegedly targeted them in what they believe was a racially motivated attack. According to the Lee County Sheriff's Office, deputies responded to reports of an active shooting on Autumn Leaf Drive Sunday night after what officials described as a verbal altercation. Family members say they had gathered to celebrate their grandmother's birthday when a car drove by and a passenger, later identified as Jeffrey Tyler Kinzer, allegedly began yelling racial slurs at the group. Witnesses say the man drove off and the family contacted the authorities, but just minutes later, they say he came back. According to the family, Kinzer returned wearing body armor and carrying an AR-15 style rifle. The caption shared by relatives on a TikTok reads, "Imagine gathering with your family, celebrating your grandmother's birthday and the end of a family reunion, only for someone to drive by yelling racial slurs. He came by twice trying to provoke us. When he didn't get the reaction he wanted, he went home, put on body armor, armed himself with the AR-15 and returned to attack our family." Witnesses say around 20 children and older adults were home when gunfire erupted. Ramel Green, a Marine veteran and family member, said people immediately began trying to protect one another as shots were fired. Ramel says he returned fire to defend the women and children who were there. According to the Lee County Sheriff's Office, Kinzer was shot and injured before being taken into custody. After being cleared at the hospital, he was booked into Lee County Jail and charged with aggravated assault. Investigators say additional charges are expected.
I mean, this is tough. All right, this is rough, and this is happening because you've got people watching Fox News and other, they're on X, and they're looking at, instead of these news stations and these social media people, instead of them covering the real news, they're covering racial stuff. Okay, and they're trying to foment this idea in the minds of many white Americans that their enemy is Black Americans. That's the problem. It's not Trump and his horrible policies. It's not Trump and all of his lies. It's not that. It's not China and their attacks on our economy. Okay, it's not that. It's not corruption. It's Black people. Look at this. Look at Fox. Let me show you what Fox is doing here. All right, it's crazy.
She is a lawyer.
Yeah.
She apparently didn't look at any of the facts of the evidence of the case before she commented.
Yeah, I mean, she may not be limited to fists, but she's clearly limited because that is just a complete, just a countermand of everything that went on in the courtroom. The idea that she can argue that the size of the knife, which is not in dispute, it was recovered. The fact that she could somehow argue that because of its size, it can't be considered a deadly weapon, which is what she was doing there, despite the fact that it killed the victim. I mean, it's just a basic algebraic logic here. Now, look, there's no winners in this story. We've all been through that aspect of it. I don't understand what was on. According to all the reporting, this kid Carmelo had a job. He had a good grade point average. He came from a good family. I don't know what the hell he was thinking, but the facts have spoken. He went into the tent. He has a knife for some reason in a bag. Remember, under Texas law, there's two metrics here that matter. Number one, you can't use self-defense if you provoke the incident, all right? That part maybe succeeded, maybe failed. We don't know what the jury thought. But the second piece, and that's kind of what she's talking about here, definitely failed, which is that your reaction has to be commensurate to the threat that you perceive. And that's going to be an objective.
Okay. So you see how, look, they've got, they're going into like, this is deep coverage here into a murder case of some young people, high school students or whatever, and it happened to be that the victim was white and the perpetrator was Black. And so this is turned into this national argument between a fight between Black people and white people, and it's led to white guys rolling up on Black people, shooting them up with AR-15s. They're frustrated. Fox News and these guys, they're using the race issue to distract from the real issues. They don't want people to realize that, hey, Trump's America is built on lies. And it's buried with hate. Hate from the news stations like Fox News, who they want to cover this, young people violence, which happens all over the world, by the way. It just does. Why this turns into some big giant race problem, I don't know. Well, I can tell you why. Because they need a distraction. They need to distract from Trump's failures, from his lies. Now, one of the big lies and one of the big failures they have going on, and this is something I've been covering for a while now, you've got this issue in the Department of War with this former CIA agent, David Rush, okay, who got caught with $40 million worth of gold bars, 30 Rolex watches, $2.1 million in cash, stole this stuff, running a fake mission that had something to do with the continuity of government in the United States. And the number 2 in the Department of War puts him on as the special liaison for the Department of War's nuclear submarine unit. It's like, what? So here we have a guy who, while he was being investigated and in the process of stealing $40 million worth of gold bars, he's being promoted by the number 2 in the Department of Defense, Department of War, to be the CIA's liaison to America's nuclear submarine force. What's going on here? I thought to myself, was this guy with the 30 Rolex watches, the 40 million in gold bars, was he trying to steal an entire nuclear sub by giving out a Rolex watch to 30 members of that sub, key people on that sub that would help him take it? I'm just wondering. I'm curious. Because the other thing is he was also placed on this special group that's supposed to be doing spy work on China. What does China want the most? They want access to our nuclear subs, our nuclear sub technology. So isn't it interesting that a hedge fund guy who's the number 2 of the Department of Defense is getting in a guy who's committing crimes, stealing 30 Rolex watches, gold bars, millions in cash, and putting him on the as a special liaison for our nuclear subs? Was this an attempt to get nuclear submarine technology to the Chinese? Look at some of the coverage from the New York Times. You tell me. Take a look.
Top Pentagon official worked closely with CIA officer, later found with gold bars. This article is by Mark Mazzetti and Julian E. Barnes, and read by an automated voice. David J. Rush, the former CIA officer found last month with $40 million in gold bars in his home and now under FBI investigation, had powerful friends in government. It turns out that one of them, Stephen A. Feinberg, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, even contacted the CIA earlier this year asking to work more closely with him. Before the CIA fired Mr. Rush, he and Mr. Feinberg worked together on a highly classified program focused on spying on China, according to the current and former officials. Mr. Feinberg reached out to a senior agency official, pushing for Mr. Rush to play a greater role in the classified program. Mr. Feinberg did not know about the criminal investigation of Mr. Rush when he reached out to the agency, according to U.S. officials. But Mr. Feinberg's advocacy for Mr. Rush demonstrates how trusted Mr. Rush was, with secrets known to only a small group of American officials, at the same time that court documents show he may have been defrauding the CIA of millions of dollars. At the request of U.S. government officials, the New York Times is withholding some details about the spying program that Mr. Feinberg and Mr. Rush worked on because of the sensitive nature of the operation. Mr. Feinberg and Mr. Rush have known each other at least since Mr. Feinberg was the head of the President's Intelligence Advisory Board during President Trump's first term. Mr. Rush was an officer in the CIA's Directorate of Science and Technology, a branch of the spy agency that Mr. Feinberg, the co-founder of Cerberus Capital, a private equity firm, took a particular interest in when he ran the advisory board. The board advises the White House and spy agencies on intelligence collection and other matters. People briefed on the investigation said Mr. Feinberg reached out to the CIA on behalf of Mr. Rush in late March or early April. It is unclear how quickly the CIA told the Defense Department or the interagency group Mr. Rush worked on about the investigation. Once officials learned about the investigation, Mr. Rush was no longer included in Pentagon meetings. Officials close to Mr. Feinberg have downplayed their connection in recent weeks. Sean Parnell, a Pentagon spokesman, said earlier this month that reports about the ties between Mr. Feinberg and Mr. Rush were completely false and embellished. Deputy Secretary Feinberg never supported Mr. Rush's career at any point in his life, nor did he endorse Mr. Rush for any career position.
Okay. So here we have, this is serious, all right? This guy is on some special Chinese spy program. At the same time, he's the CIA's liaison to our nuclear sub program. And he's got 30 Rolex watches and 40 million in gold bars and it sounds like he was trying to steal a nuclear sub, guys. I'm sorry. Call me crazy. We better start investigating what's going on here. 30 Rolex watches? I don't know. 30 members of a sub? I don't know. It's crazy stuff. And so what happens? These are all the lies of this administration. They've got CIA agents running around with 40 million in gold bars, stealing Rolex watches, living it up. They're not actually spying on anybody. They're probably helping China while at the same time stealing all this money. These guys are the ones getting promoted. They're getting the plum jobs. That's Trump's America. Built on lies. Our top officials in the CIA are total frauds, total crooks. Trump's America, built on lies. And what happens? It gets covered over with hate. Look what's happening. So Elon Musk, he just had his IPO. Congratulations, he's the first trillionaire in the world history, whatever. You know, he has IPO for SpaceX. And this guy spends night and day and night fomenting racial violence on his X platform. Look at what he's doing.
Well, police arrested 16 people during a second night of disorder in Northern Ireland after it sparked a brutal Belfast stabbing. Britain's ruling Labour Party is accusing Elon Musk of stoking divisions. Our next story brings you the details.
Flames roar on a second night. Houses blacken, cars burn, families flee. Belfast is on the edge. Masked men torch houses and vehicles. Families are evacuated from burning blocks. The scenes are raw and chaotic. The violence targeted and organized in places, chaotic in others.
Yeah, I'm fully behind the protest, yeah, but everybody has the right to protest. I don't agree with the violence, nobody agrees with violence, but we had enough violence here for 30, 40 years, bombs, killings, nobody wants the violence.
At the heart of the trigger is a knife attack in North Belfast. A 30-year-old Sudanese.
All right, so as you can see, right, you've got violence in Belfast, and it's being blamed on Elon Musk for, you know, him fomenting it through X. He's fomenting these protests. He's doing everything he can to convince white people that you're not having enough babies, and it's because you're scared of black people. It's because you have too much empathy towards black people. If you would just hate black people and attack them, then your lives would be better. You'd feel better about yourselves. Come on. This is his thing all day, every day on X. Why is he doing that? Because it's his job to cover up the lies of this administration, the lies of this government with hate. It's so simple. And what's so crazy is everyone is falling for it, basically. Right? It's really sad. So as things start to get tough here and the economy starts to get battered, because clearly China has made the choice. They're going to keep the pressure on Trump. They're going to disclose. They're going to push for Epstein stuff to get released. They're going to push for some type of economic collapse here. They're putting maximum pressure. And so what is that going to do? Is Trump going to change his ways? Is he going to start making it so that this country is built on truth and honesty? Nah, man. They're just going to pile on more hate stuff. So unfortunately, this is going to probably spiral out of control, because instead of us paying attention to what's important, we're all going to be fighting each other because of our skin color. Like, that actually matters. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. With what's going on in the world today, who cares about your skin color, man? Who cares? It doesn't matter. But that's all that matters in Trump's America, because they need that to matter so that the other things that are going on don't matter, like the economy tanking, credit card debt going through the roof, war in the Middle East, losing a war in the Middle East. These are rough times, and it's only going to get worse, unfortunately, because when you build your everything on lies and you bury it with hate, you're going to have it's going to end in disaster. It's going to end in disaster. So with that said, guys, I hope you liked tonight's show. Yes, it's a different format. I got a different look. We're going about an hour long here. Yeah, we're a little bit over an hour here, covering a bunch of topics. I'll be doing this every day. Maybe not at night, but I had to do it tonight because I wanted to get in the Disclosure Day review. Hope you guys enjoyed that. But yeah, thanks again for joining me tonight. If you guys don't mind, please subscribe. It really helps, and like and share. I really appreciate that. And once again, this is The Off Ramp. My name is Thomas Jason Anderson. Hopefully I'll be seeing you guys this weekend. I'll try to get some stuff in this weekend. I'm a little bit busy. Maybe I'll get few things in. If I can't, I will see you guys on Monday. Thanks again. Have a good night.